Hey everybody, it's Candy, aka Brown Eyed Girl 69. How y'all doing today? Well, today is April 23rd, and it is day 113 of year one. Today, um, I've been pretty busy and have had some very good events take place. Um, my youngest granddaughter, uh, she had her field trip today, and basically it was more of a picnic lunch, play in the park kind of field trip. After all, they're just pre-Kers. The one I went to last week was kindergartners and other age groups from other schools. So, me and my daughter both went to that. Lunch was packed for us, um, made completely by my son-in-law and daughter. Brought a little cooler, brought some blankets, um, and had a good time. And then afterwards, because we were getting back to town early, because it wasn't that far, my granddaughter wanted ice cream. So I was like, okay, well, let's go to Brahms. So we went to Brahms. Came back to town and went to Brahms. Had some ice cream. Then we went and picked up her brother from his school. And then I took them home. Sat there for a little while. Played with the kids. I don't think I even got home until 2:30, 2:45, 3 o'clock maybe. Oh yeah, I had to go by the post office. So after I left my daughter's, I had to go to the store and buy a bubble mailer because I had something I had to ship off to a friend of mine, and then I came home. And I've sat here and I've gotten tired, and now it's like 4:30 in the afternoon. But I have had a couple of conversations with friends of mine online as well as through personal texts. Um, I guess I want to kind of come on here and apologize, but at the same time, let y'all know that sometimes I'm going to show my true, authentic self, and it's not always the most pleasant thing to view because I do know how I am. I do know how I am. I'm very straightforward. I'm very honest. I'm very blunt. I can tell you in a nice way, or I can tell you in a more firmer way. It really just depends on the situation. But for the most part, I'm pretty laid back, chillax. Oh, hey, let's kick back and smoke some herbs, you know. But oh, and this is empty, so I guess I'm gonna have to reload it. Um, but that's the real me. The real me is the more laid back me. But the other side of me that gets frustrated with life, frustrated with just other humans, etc., etc. I'm also the type of person that I hold in a lot. I can take it, take, and then I'm just finally to the point where I just can't take anymore, and I explode like I did in my last little short video that I made the other night, last night. But I have some updates since that video, and I have some updates on some other information on another video I made a couple of nights ago. We'll get to that one first. Um, a couple of days ago, I think it was day 111, I was talking about how I was scheduled to Grubhub on Tuesday up in Norman, but because I was tired and the weather wasn't looking that great, I thought I was just gonna. I went ahead and gave up my Grubhub schedule and stayed here in town and DoorDashed. And I DoorDashed from 5:30 to 8 o'clock, and I made $42.05. So that was pretty good, just for dashing around here. And I think if I remember correctly, I had 6 offers. So I made $42 in 6 runs. And the majority of the runs were, I didn't have to really go anywhere out of the way. I didn't have to go to Lexington. I didn't have to go to Wayne or out in the country. No, all my deliveries were here in town. And that's what made it easy. I mean, I did sit around and wait a little bit for the offers. It wasn't like they just back to back to back. Because sometimes when it's really busy, especially up in Norman, yeah, it can get busy and you have one offer after another offer after another offer, or you're in the process of picking up an offer and they send you another offer to add on to the one you're already on. Depends on how much it is and where the distance is, uh, where the distance is from the two drop off locations and how much more money they're going to offer me for that extra distance on pickup as well as dropping off. So if it's worth it, then I'll go ahead and do it. But sometimes it can get really stressful. I don't think I get really stressed out because of the restaurants per se, unless the restaurants are just like really super, super busy and the food's not prepared when you arrive and you're going to have to wait for a while, and it just depends on how long of the wait is. I had 100% pickup completion rate as far as like 100. I had 100% completion rate until I had to drop an offer one night because I was picking up from this place. It was like one of the last runs I was gonna do because it was close to time for me to leave or be off, and the order wasn't met much. It was like maybe $5-6, and it was not going far. It was just gonna go down a few blocks from the restaurant. But when I got there, the restaurant was busy. The order wasn't ready. When I asked how long it was going to be for the order to be ready, they said 10 to 15 minutes. I said, okay, thank you. I walked out. I got on the app and I basically canceled and unassigned myself from that order. But I did tell the woman before I walked out, I was like, okay, thank you for that information. I'm going to go outside to utilize my app now, but there probably will be another driver sent out to pick up that order. She just kind of looked at me. And then I went on about my business. And I think I might have picked up another order after that. And after that, I was done. But traffic. Traffic's another thing. Traffic lights. Ugh, I hate traffic lights. And stop signs. There's more traffic lights and stop signs to have to contend with in Norman than there are here in town. Um, from one end of my town to the other end of town is 4 miles long. In Norman, 4 miles in width would take me from I-35 over to pretty much the east side of Norman in the width. But there's still more of Norman past those points. as well as far as north and south as well. That's just in the central part, like where the two most main streets are. From the west side of Norman to the east side of Norman is 4 miles. This is the length of my town. Well, I can get from my side of town, north end of town, to the south end of town, even with all the street lights here, in about 6 minutes. Might be 7 or 8 minutes if the street lights aren't working my way, my direction. To try to get 4 miles in Norman, huh, more like 15 minutes, just because of traffic. So I scheduled myself for a later time tonight, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to try to go in and get at least an hour earlier on. I'm not scheduled to be on until 7:30 until midnight tonight. Well, the app closes at 11 o'clock, so it's a guarantee till 11. Just depends. If the orders keep coming in, then I'm going to stay on Grubhub. If the orders stop coming in, and I'm having to wait for 10 to 15 minutes, that's about the max I like to give myself in between orders. If I'm waiting 10, 15 minutes in between orders, and then the orders that come in aren't really good offers, then more than likely I'll try to end my one block that I'm already on from 7:30 to 9:30, and then the other block is 9:30 to midnight. So if by 9:30 I haven't really been getting the kind of offers that I want to get, I'm definitely going to turn on Dash and try to do some door dashing while I'm up there in Norman too. Give me a different vibe, different whatever, you know? Now, what was I saying? Oh, about the update on the video I made last night. A little short. Last night, I was told, how do I word this? I was having a conversation with my shift manager, and I was asking her a couple questions about the situation. She told me, she goes, well, if you really want to know who it is, I will tell you. And I stopped for a minute because I almost said, okay, go ahead and tell me who is it, you know. But I stopped. And I was like, maybe it's best if I don't know who it is. You know, all I know is that it's somebody that I know. So it's going to be somebody that I see on a regular basis. But the thing about it is I see a lot of people on a regular basis. In fact, today when I was at the field trip with Kelsey, I ran into a couple of people that she was talking to that she knew. And so there was this one girl, um, and I recognized her, and I asked her what her name was, and she's like, "Oh, my name's Shelby." Um, and I was like, she's like, "Well, it's Shelby, blah blah blah, but my maiden name's Shelby Millsap." And I was like, "Oh, is your dad Tim and Andy?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, girl, I know who you are. I know your parents. I grew up with your mom and dad, basically." And then there was this other girl that was talking to us that has a child that's in my grandson's class. And she's as cute as a button. And we were standing there talking, and she asked me, she's like, "You work at Cash Savers, don't you?" And I was like, yeah, I do. Why? She's like, "Oh, I've come in before. I think I've come through your line." And she's like, "But my husband definitely has." And then what was funny about that is we ran into them later on at proms at the same time. Basically, they pulled in like right behind us. So they left the park too. They'd heard us talking about going and getting ice cream. So They went by and picked up their other kid from school, and then went and got ice cream. So I was like, cool. But yeah, so because of that, I see so many people, and like I did tell one of the, I think it was that girl. I can't even remember her name now. So bad at me. Um, I was even telling her, I was like, yeah, even with me working at the grocery store, um, I know people more by face than I do by their actual names. You know, the only ones I know by actual names are the ones that I've known for a very long time, like my whole life, or I've had so much interaction with them that I know their name, or I've interacted with them outside of this specific job, like somewhere else in the community I've known before, or whatever. Um, but for the, for other people that are in the communities that I don't really know on a personal level, I don't really know them by their name. But I try to be friendly to everybody. I definitely do greet everyone as they come up and approach me, and try to take care of them the best of my ability. Make sure they have what they need or whatever. But I guess some people just have a bad day. Like yesterday, I had a bad day. Yesterday was just a bad day. I'm just going to chalk it up as that, a bad day. And that day's gone. It's no longer here. So it's basically me moving forward and going along and seeing how many more good days I can have before another bad day occurs. Because it's inevitable. Everybody's going to experience bad days on occasion. I try not to experience too many of them, but sometimes they happen. And sometimes things happen that just seem to kind of snowball into a bigger snowball, etc., etc., to where I just didn't explode. I think yesterday I was just, I don't know exactly what all was going on, but I was just stressed and go to work and working, and then I get, pulled into the office and talked to and all sorts of stuff, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, I don't think that's very nice. I don't think it's very professional to pull somebody off of their register right when they first get to work to basically discipline them, you know, or correct them or whatever. Um, because it leaves the employee having to come back out onto the floor with all these emotions that they can't express because they got to be as professional as they can. You're not allowed to stand there and complain. You're not allowed to, express yourself, so to speak. So it's very difficult. And that's one reason why I expressed myself in the shape, form, and fashion that I did on that video. Is because of the fact that I wasn't allowed to express my emotions. I wasn't allowed to just have time to try to process what had just been said to me. Because honestly, I've had some complaints in the past, but who don't? You know what I mean? Um, Sometimes people are so miserable with their own lives that they gotta make other people's lives miserable as well. I'm not one of those types of people. Um, I'm the one that's trying to stay away from those types of people. For real. For real. I'm the one that's trying to stay away from those types of folks. So yeah, those are just the updates since the last couple of videos I made. The fact that I did make some money door dashing, even though it'd been 11 days. And then as to why, and the information I found out after the video I made last night. But my plan is simple. I will continue to work there, but I'm also going to start to try to find some other type of work. I'm not for sure yet what kind of work. Um, I mean, I do have money to get me a employee type of card to work in the cannabis industry, and I have my Oklahoma driver's license now and all that, so that's all taken care of. I just have to go get that card, you know. But and then I could apply to work in cannabis industries and the dispensaries, processing plants, etc., etc., etc. Maybe even actually being able to work on a grow during the summer or something. But even those types of jobs don't really pay that well. Even a dispensary job, just because it's a dispensary job doesn't mean it's going to pay better. They're going to pay you the basic pay that they're going to pay like they would if you were a convenience store or any other kind of outlet where people can come in and buy specific products or whatever. Most jobs here that I've seen for bud tenders, it just depends on the company, really, and I think the location of town as well. Um, but I've seen bartender or bud tender jobs go anywhere from $10 an hour, starting at $10 an hour, and go all the way up to $20 an hour. But it just depends on the amount of responsibilities that they're going to stack on you. I think as the different the difference in pay, and it might be also for safety features in certain parts of town that might be a little shadier than in other parts of town. I make $14 an hour at my grocery store. So if I'm going to leave my grocery store job, I'm going to have to leave either getting another job that's going to pay me at least 14 an hour and give me a ton of hours, or they're going to have to pay me. I won't go any lower than 13, and they're going to have to give me decent hours. I'm not going to work for a company that's only wanting work me 20, 25 hours a week. No, I'm looking for a full time gig, and I'm willing to give myself 32 hours a week, which they do consider full time. Um, so if they could give me 4 days a week, I'd be happy. 4 8-hour days, I'd be happy. Give me a set schedule. I'll be here when you need me, and I'll do the job that's required of me. And what I do in my off time is my business. And that's when I would be putting my effort and energy into doing my Grubhub, DoorDash side gigs, as well as trying to get my foot in the door doing medical courier kind of work as well. I got to do a little bit more research on that, see what all's involved with that, see if there's any specific types of licenses that I would need to get or whatever, to be a medical courier. Um, but if I can get that type of gig, then I would stop food delivery gigs altogether. I would still leave them active. I'd probably still do one here and there on the side or whatever, just for some quick cash or whatever. don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, so to speak. And I guess that's one way I'm kind of starting to branch out, and try to figure out ways of bringing in all sorts of residual forms of income, basically, is what it comes down to. Because you can't count on companies, you can't count on corporations. The only person that you can count on is yourself. Like I told somebody today, the only person that is going to help me do anything is me, myself, and I. Nobody else. Doesn't matter if I ask for somebody else's help or not. Doesn't mean I'm going to get it, you know? And I don't really like to panhandle on social media anymore. I did plenty social media panhandling from 2012 to 2018 when Daryl died. After Daryl died, I never panhandled again. Ever. I never panhandled in person, and I didn't panhandle online. Well, I can't say that. I guess I did panhandle online. In 2020, before I was about to leave Colorado and go on my excursion, I was just basically waiting on my unemployment to arrive, Anywho, I got all stories all day long. Any subject matter you can think of, I probably got a story on it. That's one thing a friend of mine told me a long time ago. He's like, Candy, you've experienced so much in your life in such a short period of time that you can talk about any subject matter. Like, yeah, it's true. The way he is. Anyway, peace, love, hugs, snugs. Until the next time, I'm out.